And welcome back to Crimson Tide Kickoff. Running behind on the big show. Let's get right to our weather forecast. For that, we go to meteorologist Richard Scott. Richard.
Yeah, John. Hey, it's getting hot out here on UA campus. Temperature's really heating up out there, and it's getting humid as well. So let's go over the graphics and show you where we stand temperature-wise right now. 73 in Tuscaloosa, 74 in Birmingham, and don't let those numbers fool you. We're already warming up. In fact, that's our 8 o'clock observations. By 9 o'clock, we're likely seeing temperatures in the 80s and humid conditions around. Rainfall just to our north and west, watching some showers and thunderstorms back over northwest Alabama. Those will gradually shift in from the north and west later today here in Tuscaloosa, Birmingham. If you have the outdoor plans, keep in mind good rain chances again here in the Tuscaloosa area later on this afternoon. That's when the best chance of rain will shift into Alabama. So let's take you over to Arkansas and head out towards the game in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Good news for you. If you're heading out towards Fayetteville, the cold front's already passed through and drying conditions have settled in. In fact, today, the quick cast for Fayetteville looking great. In fact, we're starting off temperatures this morning around 64 degrees at 10 o'clock. Sunny skies all day long and less humid conditions by noon around 73 and 81 degrees at kickoff. Kickoff's at 2:30. So John and Gary, good forecast here in terms of rainfall. We need the rain, very dry here in the Tuscaloosa area. Also, we're looking at nice conditions for the ball game. Of course, we don't want to talk about rain for the Alabama football game this afternoon.
Well, thank you, Richard. Our next guest can certainly give us some insight into Arkansas football. He ought to be able to. He's been with the Arkansas staff 16 years, the last 4 as Associate Athletics Director for Media Relations. Kevin Trainer joins us now from Fayetteville live on the phone this morning. Kevin, we appreciate you being with us.
Good morning, guys. How are you doing?
Hey, we're doing great. Let's start off by talking about atmosphere. Obviously, 1969, Arkansas played in one of the biggest college football games of all time against Texas, and you've had some big games since then. I don't mean to say that you haven't, but right now, to have 2 top 10 teams in Fayetteville, the #1 ranked team in the country, an Arkansas team that believes they can get to Atlanta and play for an SEC championship. What's the atmosphere like in Fayetteville with this game?
Well, this has certainly been a game that fans and people around here have been pointing to for quite a long time, and when you have a defending national champion coming to campus, and certainly an Arkansas team that we feel like is one of the best in the country, it's the first time the 2 top 10 teams have met on this field since 1979. So certainly a lot of great anticipation, as you would expect. There's been a lot of excitement. Students camping out all week. We have over 100 tents lined up down the row there to get in today. So it's just been a tremendous buzz throughout not only the campus but the community for this one today.
I want to ask you about Ryan Mallett. You've seen him up close and personal. Boy, what a skill set. It starts with size, 6'6", over 230 pounds, make all the throws, physical enough to stand in the pocket and take the hits. I know that most likely he's going to be leaving after this season. You may not want to say that for sure, but even if he just plays 2 years, where does he rank among the all-time great Arkansas quarterbacks, do you think?
Well, I think you have to put him right there up at the top. He has 19 school records in the passing game, and this is a guy that's a prototypical NFL caliber quarterback. He can make all of the throws. In fact, Coach Petrino is fond of saying every week he makes 2 or 3 throws that you just sit back and wonder how he did that. And this is a guy that is not only a great athlete, but has been a tremendous leader for this team. And this is his team, and he's done a great job in leading, and there's no questioning his skill as a quarterback, and he's had a fantastic year so far, and he'll face his stiffest test this season today.
Kevin, we've got just a few seconds left, but if Arkansas is going to win this game today, they're probably going to win it because of an improved defense. As good as Mallett is, he can't do it by himself. They're going to have to stop or at least slow Alabama down some. This is a defensive unit that struggled the first couple of years under Willie Robinson, but right now you're second in the conference in total defense and really have a defense right now that is in the upper echelon of the SEC. How important is it that they play well today?
Well, I think that's the key matchup that a lot of people are looking for today. This is a defense that is much better than a year ago. We'll have a tremendous challenge taking on Mark Ingram and Trent Richardson and Greg McElroy in that Alabama offense. So I think a lot of people will be looking at that as a key to this game. Alabama certainly a very talented team and very deserving of that #1 ranking. So it could come down to which defense can stop which offense the most times, and how many times the offense can punch it in the end zone. But we're expecting, it's a beautiful day. We're expecting a tremendous ball game.
Good stuff, Kevin. We appreciate it. Good luck to you. Not too much good luck from an Alabama perspective, but good luck nonetheless.
Guys, thanks for having me on.
Our pleasure. All right, Kevin Trainer, Arkansas Assistant Athletics Director for Media Relations. John?
And Gary, coming up next on Crimson Tide Kickoff, it's time to go around the SEC. We'll stop by Auburn and Columbia and hear from both Gene Chizik and Steve Spurrier on their primetime showdown. And is it desperation time in the Battle of the Bulldogs? Today's game could be a make or break game. Mark Richt and Dan Mullen will both give us their thoughts. This is Crimson Tide Kickoff.
Before we take you around the SEC, we'd like to thank Drew Kyle and Kyle Office Solutions for providing us with this beautiful set that you see every Saturday morning that John and I share with our guests. They've provided it for us and will do so throughout the football season, so we want you to remember them. Kyle Office Solutions has all your business and office needs. Give them a visit. Well, time now to hear from coaches around the SEC. A big game going on down on the Plains tonight, John. Auburn and South Carolina.
Yeah, number 12 South Carolina against number 17 Auburn this evening under the lights at Jordan-Hare Stadium. For the Tigers, they've been living dangerously lately, winning their last 2 games by only a field goal. If they're going to move to 4-0, Coach Gene Chizik knows his squad will have to play a physical game against a physical South Carolina team.
You know, this is another SEC brand of football. It's the fast, physical, hard-hitting. I mean, it's, you know, and everything starts in the SEC on the line of scrimmage.
On the ground, Auburn has been led by its quarterback, Cam Newton. Tonight, though, they'll go up against a prolific ground gainer, freshman running back Marcus Lattimore of the Cox. You might remember Lattimore chose the Gamecocks over the Tigers this past February. Now he's making an immediate impact in Columbia. In fact, Steve Spurrier thinks the running game is what the Gamecocks will hang their hat on this season.
You got to do what you do best to try to win the game. We're not real good at throwing it as we have been running. I shouldn't say that, that we're completely a running team. But we would hate to start throwing it 45, 50 times. Just history tells you something good doesn't happen when you have to throw that many times.
Here comes the blitz.
Well, you know, desperation never attracted quality, but that's the name of the game in Starkville today. Both Mississippi State and Georgia enter their game with an identical 1-2 record. Both coaches know this could be a make or break game for their season, and both coaches know what their teams need to do.
And it's a Mississippi State.
Someone's coming out of this game, you know, with a pretty good jump start on the rest of the season. And I mean, both of us playing obviously tough, very difficult early season schedules in conference. You know, we get out of this run at 2-2. That's going to set us up, you know, hopefully to have a successful season.
But we've got to make sure we execute properly, and just talking to the coaching staff, you know, scheme is good. You got to have a good scheme. You got to have a good plan. There's no doubt about it. But the execution of it is really what makes it or breaks it.
November 15th, 1986. That's the last time Kentucky beat Florida. But you know what? An upset could be in the making tonight in Gainesville, as the Gators haven't quite looked like the Gators the first 3 games. Coach Urban Meyer was asked this week if there'll be any new players that might see playing time for Florida. He says the answer is simple. Whoever plays football the way we want it played will see playing time. You might call it buying in, even though Coach Meyer wouldn't call it that.
Can't stand using that word bought in, because I guess that's the new term nowadays with young people. Are they going to buy into the system? I don't know what that means. You go real hard, play real hard, and you'll play. If not, you'll sit and watch like thousands of other people.
Here's the schedule for today's lineup. UAB at Tennessee, Alabama at Arkansas, Georgia at Mississippi State begins the night games, then Kentucky at Florida, Fresno State at Ole Miss, South Carolina at Auburn, and the late game tonight, West Virginia at LSU, slated for an 8 o'clock kickoff. Now for a look at weather around the SEC, here's Richard.
Hey, John, yeah, we have some showers and thunderstorms to talk about. Several SEC games happening. First off, let's take you to Mississippi State University. Georgia playing MSU today, 6 p.m. kickoff time. Thunderstorms, a good bet. Temperatures falling to the 70s by the time we wrap things up. Let's take you over to South Carolina playing Auburn. At Auburn, 6:45, a late game, 82 degrees starting off. Thunderstorms become a good bet later in the day. In West Virginia playing LSU, thunderstorms are likely in that forecast as well. Temperatures in the mid-70s to end the game. John and Gary.
Thank you, Richard. And coming up next on Crimson Tide Kickoff.
Low expectations on Mark. You know, he never ceases to amaze you.
Mark Ingram's return was marked by big plays and big production. Was it just the beginning to another fantastic campaign? We'll hear from the Tide players and ask an expert next.
And don't go anywhere. She knows volleyball, but what about football? Coach Judy Green will be along with her picks for today's game in our guest prognosticator segment. This is Crimson Tide Kickoff.
Well, welcome back to Crimson Tide Kickoff. Last week against Duke, Heisman Trophy winner Mark Ingram made his season debut, and well, he showed why he is the reigning Heisman Trophy winner. He had knee surgery just a few weeks back, but when he returned to the game, he looked better than ever as he just lit up Duke, averaging nearly 17 yards a carry in his first action of 2010.
I've learned not to put low expectations on Mark. You know, he never ceases to amaze you.
Ingram will get the first touch, gets around the edge, and breaks into the secondary. Across midfield, still on his feet down the sideline, and finally bumped down inside the 15.
You know, he comes out of Michigan. Nobody really knows who he is, and turns out to be an absolute stud.
You know, Mark's a competitor. You know, when he get on that field, he was itching to get out there on that field. So, I mean, I knew he was going to step up and make some big plays for us.
Huge hole to the left side, and Ingram on his way down the sideline.
I was ready physically and mentally. I mean, I wasn't going to go out there if I had any doubt in my mind that I wasn't going to be able to play like I usually do.
Ingram, nice cut back, touchdown, Alabama.
I was excited because it hurt me being on that sideline, not being able to contribute the first two games. So I was excited and definitely looking forward to being able to get out there again.
It's a great feeling. It's a great feeling to know that we have our stable back and all accounted for.
And joining us now to discuss today's game, Ingram's return, and a whole lot more is the beat writer for the Birmingham News, Don Counselor Jr. He joins us now live from Fayetteville. Don, good morning. And first off, let me ask you, what is the atmosphere like up there?
Pretty crazy. That this is the biggest game here in 30-something years, and they're pumped. They've had students camping out near the stadium all week, trying to get the tickets. I think I've actually got a nephew who's a freshman here, and he was one of the campers, and Ryan Mallett handed him a free pizza the other day. That made his day.
Don, let me ask you about Mark Ingram. What did you think about his return? And the big question is, can he sustain that down the road in the SEC?
Well, it was a spectacular return, but it was against Duke, so we have to remember that. And we have to remember that he's going up against an Arkansas team that held him to 50 yards on 17 carries last year, and that was not a very good defense. But they loaded the box and sort of sold out to stop Ingram, and they got burned by McElroy. And I'm curious to see what their strategy today, if it's going to be something similar, then I think we could see the same scenario.
Yeah, that is going to be interesting. Let's talk about the marquee players in this game today, so to speak. Greg McElroy, Ryan Mallett, both strong quarterbacks, but they're different style of quarterbacks. But you could probably say that they're just as valuable in the system that they play in.
Well, Mallett rakes up the passing yards, rakes up the touchdown passes. McElroy rakes up the three. I'll take the one with the victory. Never lost a college game.
Well, Don, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Sorry we had to cut it short a little bit. We ran a little bit over, but we certainly do appreciate your time.
Oh, glad to help.
All right, and don't touch that. All right, thank you, Don. And don't touch that dial. When Crimson Tide Kickoff returns, it's time to make some picks. Guest picker, Alabama volleyball coach Judy Green is here, and she'll make some bold predictions. That's next on Crimson Tide Kickoff.